Are you sitting on your daily commute thinking longingly about your next holiday? Are you filled with so much wanderlust that you've got no idea where to go next? Or have you got your next trip booked and in the bag and you're looking for tips and tricks to make it all go smoothly? Then, welcome to the TRAVELUST Podcast. Join me, Sam Sparrow, every fortnight as I chat to the people who've built their life around a desire to experience the world. As a travel blogger and wannabe professional city breaker, I'm nosy, and we get deep into travel memories, favourite destinations, and tips to make your next trip go with a bang. On this episode, I get to chat to the wonderful Claire Robinson from the UK travel blog Weekend Candy. Claire's mantra is 2 days, make them count, and I couldn't be more down with that sentiment. Like me, Claire fits her travels around her job, and we chat about planning the perfect weekend escape, finding incredible places to stay, and building trips around something historic. We're both nerds after all. Claire shares with us her top tips for visiting the Cotswolds and her current home city of Cheltenham. And if you like chocolate box villages and cutesy places to explore, you'll love this episode. Remember to tweet me at Sam R. Sparrow with the hashtag TheTravelUst with your favourite travel tips and memories and your perspective on what we discuss. You can find even more travel content on my website asthesparrowflies.com along with all of the podcast episodes. Are you packed? Then let's go. I am super excited today because Claire is here on the podcast. She is behind the wonderful blog Weekend Candy that I have been reading for such a long time. She is behind a lot of my travel wanderlust and certainly my desire to make the most of my weekends. So welcome onto the podcast, Claire.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and what a lovely introduction.
Yeah, I absolutely love. Do you know what? I remember finding your blog and thinking, "Oh man, that's such a good blog title."
Thank you.
I was like, "Oh my god, I wish I'd thought of that first." It's so good. So, for those of you, for those listeners that don't know Claire or Weekend Candy, Claire, would you mind giving an introduction?
No, of course. My name is Claire Robinson. I run weekendcandy.com, and it's a blog about weekend breaks in the UK and Europe. And I'm on different social media things as Weekend Candy, and that's about it really. It's about just over 3 years old now, I think, the blog. It's like every other blog that that people have. It's one of those things that I absolutely totally love and spend far too much time doing when I should be doing like more grown up things, but I love it, and I'm always thrilled if people read it or say nice things about it, so thank you.
And whereabouts is it you're from the Cotswolds, is that right?
Yeah, well, I'm not originally from the Cotswolds. I'm from Dorset originally, but I live in the Cotswolds at the moment. So I live not too far from Cheltenham. It's about 9 miles outside of Cheltenham. That's where I live at the moment, which is very nice.
I feel really terrible because actually it wouldn't take me that long to get to the Cotswolds even for a day. And really, I have not spent enough time exploring them. And I know it'd be right up my street. So I'm definitely going to hit you up for some tips.
Oh, definitely. And if you swing by this way, let me know. And
we could go for a gin.
We'll go for a gin, even though the thought of gin this morning actually makes me feel quite nauseous.
Actually, for those listening, both Claire and myself had separate, quite heavy gin afternoons and evenings. So we're both a little bit fragile.
Yeah, we really are. Yeah.
Okay, so I would love to know kind of what your earliest travel memory is, or kind of, where did you first go when you were a little girl?
Wow. Okay. So I think the first place I went was Spain with my mum and dad, and then after that, I think I was about 5 years old. Yeah, about 5, and my dad got a job in Kenya, and so we moved out there for a few years. And that's really most of my early travel memories from that. I don't remember the Spanish holiday at all because I was in nappies and I can't remember any of it. But I do remember bits of Kenya. And one specific memory I have is I remember being in this garden at night. I think it might have been in I was going to say a pub, but I don't think they have pubs in Kenya. I don't know what they have, but we're in this garden place, and there was a lovely pond. There's a wooden bridge going over the pond, and I remember being small and looking through the gap at all the colourful fish going under the in the water, swimming under the bridge, and just being mesmerised by it. And I remember feeling, it was really warm, and you could hear the sounds of the insects and stuff, and then these beautiful colourful fish. And that's my earliest memory. I must have just been 5 or something like that.
That's incredible. So it's quite similar. So I spoke to Lucy on the first episode of the podcast. Yeah, and she moved very early abroad as well. So it must have been mind-blowing for you being a little girl.
Yeah, well, as I say, I kind of wish I had more memories of it, because I look at the photos and stuff and I go, God, I can't believe we did that, and the other memory I have actually was quite an upsetting one. We went on safari, and we were in the back of this Jeep, like an open top Jeep, and health and safety did not come into it. There's me, 5 years old, bouncing around in the back of this Jeep, Anyway, and we were with some people, and I think they shot a gazelle or something like that. I don't know who we were hanging with or whatever, but I think there was something about that they shot a gazelle, and I remember I absolutely could not stop crying, and they had to take me home because I was just crying so much, which I think is probably quite fair.
Yeah, I would, if I went on safari, so I would love to go on safari, and if I went on safari and I saw that happening, I would also cry uncontrollably.
I know, it's awful, isn't it now? It fills me with horror, that memory. I don't know, they were friends of my mum and dad's or something, but anyway, yeah, so my 2 memories are crying and being bumped around in the back of this Jeep, and then tropical fish. But yes, it was incredible, and I wish I had more recollection of it in the same way that you do now if you go abroad.
So did you go to school there?
I think I went to nursery school, which I can't remember, and I used to speak Swahili apparently as well, which I have no idea.
Blimey. Yes. It's in the back of your memory. Maybe a few more gin will help it kind of come to the forefront again.
I'm pretty sure a few more gins helps me speak many languages that I don't know.
So how old were you when you moved back to the UK?
I think I was probably about 7 when we moved back. So I think we were only out there for a couple of years. And the thing that makes me laugh is my mum, bless her, my dad wanted to come back to the UK because of his job. He wanted to kind of continue his career in the UK. And my mum, like me, loves hot weather. And she got to Heathrow actually with my dad, and they got off the plane. It was absolutely pouring down with rain, and she said she basically threatened to divorce him at that point because she couldn't believe she was coming back from Kenya to England. I don't think she ever forgave him.
My goodness!
So I think I was about 7.
Yeah, I was going to say a bit of a shock coming back. And so you're originally from Dorset, and all of my childhood memories are actually from being in Swanage.
Oh, yeah.
One of my most favourite places in the world. I think I romanticise it a little bit, but I love the Dorset coastline, or the Jurassic coastline is just so beautiful. And so you grew up with that around you.
Yeah. So, well, I'm actually quite nomadic because I actually was born in Frimley in Surrey.
Okay.
So it's not too far from kind of, I guess, around near where you are, maybe. But anyway, that way, yeah. And then we moved to Devon. My mum and dad had pubs, so we moved quite a lot. So, and then I ended up in Dorset and grew up in. I don't know if you watched Broadchurch at all when it was on the telly.
Yeah.
If you're a Dorset lover, got to love Broadchurch. So where that was filmed is in a place called West Bay, and I grew up around there. So I was really lucky that I went to school in Lyme Regis, which is just by the sea, so it was just down the coast. And had the sea on my doorstep, really, which was really special.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. My stepdad grew up sort of in Portsmouth and
cool. Yeah.
And he grew up with the sea, and he's constantly wanting to move back or somewhere on the seaside.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
I'd really miss it, and I ended up where I am just because of work. But my heart is always kind of in the sea, and I'd like to go back one day. I think I might be part jellyfish.
I love that. I love Lyme Regis as well. I went for a weekend a couple of years back with my mum for my 30th birthday, and I actually went. They've got a teddy bear workshop.
Oh yes.
And now the name has escaped me. Is it Annie's or something
you've got
like
funny
that?
little stairs upstairs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I went on a teddy bear making course there.
that's so cute.
Yeah, it's a bit niche, but actually it was such a lovely workshop. And obviously you've got the seaside on your doorstep. You've got a couple of really good pubs right on the seafront as well. So it's a really good weekend. We made the most of our weekend away there.
That's good. Yeah. No, it is lovely. And I used to go to school there. And actually it's where my partner went to school. We were at school together.
Wow.
Just we love going back, and the pubs on the seafront were where we used to hang out when we were doing A levels and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's a really nice little place for a weekend away, and I think I might actually have a weekend in Lyme Regis on the blog.
Well, I will link to that in the show notes, absolutely, because if Claire recommends a place to go, it's always a good itinerary and a good weekend. So talking about that, so obviously a lot of what you write about now is about spending your weekends in UK and Europe, places to go. Is the kind of weekend break your preferred method of travel, or is it more to do with the fact that that's how you can travel? So like me, I love weekend breaks, but actually I also would love to travel a bit more long term. But I have a 9-to-5 job, so that it precludes it somewhat. So is it a kind of circumstance, or is weekend travel kind of the real thing that you love doing?
I think, well, it's circumstance, really. Absolutely. I mean, I would love nothing better than a month in a hot country, if I could. But I think my boss and my daughter might have something to say if I did it. So, it's mainly to do with the circumstances. But I think the nice thing about it as well is I'm kind of, because the blog and the weekend niche came about because of my circumstances. I've now sort of starting to enjoy weekend travel more and getting more out of a weekend than perhaps I would have before, if that makes sense, because it's more because that's what I'm trying to help other people do. So I do quite like the idea of trying to reclaim your weekends a little bit and trying to travel on them in a way that's sort of smart and sensible and isn't exhausting, so that you get to Monday or Tuesday if it's a long weekend and you do feel like you've had a break, rather than sort of just sometimes our weekends can be tied up with domesticity or whatever, that we don't actually feel like we have a break. So even though it came about from circumstances, I think weekend travel or weekend escapism is actually really important.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I have to say, so obviously a lot of my travel is around weekend breaks as well. And I agree with you that I think it's really made me think a bit more about spending my time wisely on a weekend, and not just sitting around in my pants watching Netflix, which is, I do spend the odd weekend sitting around in my pants watching Netflix and doing live admin.
I think that's totally permissible.
Everyone needs a weekend Netflix binge, that's for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I think there's a weekend post in that, actually. I definitely wanted to
absolutely
the weekend at home in your pants. Actually, there's a funny quote about you. Was it Monday is the day when you have to start thinking about putting your bra back on?
That is so true. And because I usually work from home on a Monday, I have to really force myself to get dressed respectably so I'm in work mode, because it's obviously very tempting to just let that slide across for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So so if you were planning a weekend away, what are the kind of components of your ideal weekend? How would you go about kind of thinking about, right, we're going to go away this weekend, we're going to do something this weekend? What would that look like for you?
Well, I think it's always, somewhere I haven't been before, and it kind of just depends what sort of mood I'm in, really. And sometimes I'd like to think about it like that. So, okay, actually, do you know what? I really want some adventure. So why don't we go and, go rock climbing on the coast? Not that I'm a rock climber. Not that I've ever gone rock climbing, but so that's pointless. But so I guess something like that. But I tend to, I think, going back to what I've said about Dorset, I tend to want to go to the sea. So I think I'm always trying to think of, okay, a weekend break. Where can I sort of, without sounding a bit too wanky or hippie about it, where can I connect with nature? Where can I be by the sea, or where can I be outdoors a little bit? Maybe that's because, as the mum of a teenager, I spend a lot of my time in shops shopping. So as much as I love cities and going into cities, I tend to go, actually, do you know, I want to do something different. I want to just go out in nature. So I think if I was going to plan a weekend, it would be kind of what sort of mood I'm in, what, how long is it going to be? Is it just, have I got to get back by Sunday evening? So that means I'm going to have to restrict my radius maybe to, I don't know, an hour and a half from where I live, because I want to make sure on Sunday night I get back and, it's not too crazy busy on Sunday night, catching up. And then I guess it's, where I haven't been before. It's probably the components, really, and the other thing which I don't tend to do, and I should do, is get recommendations from different people. I think it's because I'm a bit like, when you can hear about a series on the telly and someone's going, "Oh, you must watch this series," you must go and see this film, you must go and do this. I tend to, I'm slightly rebellious. I kind of go, no, I don't want to, even though I probably do.
No, I get it. I so get it. When you said about Broadchurch earlier, that's exactly what I did with Broadchurch. I didn't watch it. I was like, what is this Broadchurch? No, I'm not going to watch it. Everyone's hyped it. And then obviously like 2 years later, I'm like, oh my God, Broadchurch was excellent.
That's exactly what I do. It is like a kind of, when people effuse about it, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. Then I'm not interested. If it's the masses, I'm not interested. I don't mean in a snobby way, but I just have that sort of feel about things, and maybe that's why if people say, "Oh, you must go here, you must go here," I kind of go, "No, you're fine. I'll go somewhere else."
So where do you tend to get your inspiration from then? Is it seaside, an hour and a half or 2 hours away, and you'll kind of look at a map and go, right, we'll go here? Is that the kind of mindset that you're in?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it might also be because I'm a bit of a history nerd. So I kind of like going to nerdy history places. So if I go, I know that, the Battle of Bodsworth field is up that way, I'd quite like to go up there because I'd like to go to the Battle of Bodsworth field. So I kind of gravitate towards where I know that there's going to be a little bit of outdoorsy stuff, and it's going to be a bit historical as well. In actual fact, you're probably sensing from all of this, I don't actually have a process.
No, but do you know what? That's great, because I think because when I write about travel, people think that I'm sort of really meticulous in my kind of picking where I'm going to go. But basically, my view is I'll pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah,
and a lot of the time I'll get something, it'll just be like a little earworm in my head. So I'm going to Munich soon, and that's been in my mind, like, go to Munich. And so therefore I've made it happen as opposed to really planning it.
Yeah, I think I'm actually the worst traveller, and I'm not very organised as well. So I'm probably, I don't know why on earth I'm writing a travel blog, but I, like you, I kind of go, I just have an inkling to go here or go there or whatever, and it's not particularly organised process.
I was going to say, I think it comes across in kind of all the weekend break kind of writing that you do on Weekend Candy, that you pick a place to go to for whatever reason. Maybe it's a battlefield or, something outdoorsy. I don't know.
That makes my blog sound really boring.
No, not at all, because that's like, I love stuff like that. There is a place for people like us, Claire. There definitely is in the world. I guess you haven't got this massive tick list of all the things you've got to see. You're in a place and really soaking it up to make the most of the weekend, which I love.
Yeah, and I think I'm actually a bit like a Labrador. So, I'll kind of go, I'll go and do that, I'll go and do that, I'll go and do that. I get really overexcited about something. And I think because I don't like to plan, because I just like to see how things unfold. But then when I've done it, and that's why maybe I gravitate towards doing kind of quite set itineraries when I get back and go, do this, do that, do the other thing, go here, do that. Because there's an element of stress about letting something just unfold sometimes, because you can then come away and go, oh, I didn't do this or I didn't do that and I should have. So even though I'm not a particularly organised person, I don't have a process to find the perfect weekend. When I come back, I actually put a kind of an itinerary in place so that somebody else who maybe is me on another plane on another planet could really do with the itinerary. Because I know that I'd be disorganized and I'd miss half the things if I didn't read it. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of it's a bit bizarre, but yeah, I'm rambling a little.
No. That, I mean, I think it's really interesting because I go through phases of I want to plan a lot, and if I go away with my husband, he doesn't like to plan at all. So I do have to bear in mind the kind of I'll have in the back of the mind the things I want to see, and if I'm traveling on my own, I will have an itinerary that I follow to make sure I get everything in. If I'm traveling with Mr. Sparrow, I will have an itinerary in my mind, but it won't be written down anywhere. And for Andrew, it will feel like we're flying by the seat of our pants.
Right.
But in my mind, I kind of have got a feel for the sorts of things that I want to see. Because I think, as you said, because I'm not a long-term traveller, I do have a job. I think if you go somewhere, you're not necessarily going to be able to go back regularly to see all the things that you missed. And so there is that sense, I think for me, that slight sense of urgency a little bit. So I think your itineraries are really helpful.
I think also I think I'm pretty disorganized. I don't know if it's a creative thing anyway, but I don't tend to be particularly organized. But when I did try and do a trip where I was organized and kind of, right, I'm going to do this on this day and this on the other day and this on another day, it was in Paris, I ended up kind of trying to do so much on one day that when I didn't achieve it, I ended up feeling like, oh, damn it, I never did this and I never did that. And so I kind of had gone against my natural flow, which was just kind of go, actually, I might pick one place, like, I don't know, I'll just go to the Louvre for, 2 hours and then just wander for the rest of the day. I kind of said, right, I'll do the Louvre, then I'll do this, then I'll do the other thing. And it was just too much. So I think sort of free flow for me is sometimes better, because otherwise then I get myself too tight into an itinerary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you can be left with a bit of disappointment, which is absolutely not what you want to be doing when you're back at your desk on a Monday morning. And I think that might be, you talked about being in Paris, and I, long-time listeners of this podcast will know that I'm not the biggest fan of Paris. And I do want to go back and have another crack at it. And I think it's because I was too stressed about seeing all the things. I think that's part of the reason, because Paris is like London. Like, you're never going to, I've lived in London all my life and I'm never going to see all of the greatness that London has got. And you do have to bear that in mind. And I went to Marrakesh with my parents a few weeks ago. And actually my mum is really strict about how we do things, which is we'll go and do something in the morning, but the afternoon we're chilling.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Chilling out. We're not doing lots in one day. And there was a slight sense of frustration on my part when I realised, first of all, that's how the weekend's going to go down. And I had a list as long as my arm of stuff I wanted to do. And secondly, she wouldn't let me go out on my own and do it.
Oh,
I'm like,
no,
oh my God, I'm nearly 35. Are you actually joking? But I came back from Marrakesh and genuinely felt more refreshed than I have off a weekend break for ages. So I think there's absolutely something in that.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And the reason I like sort of the itineraries that I write are from the things that I've actually done. So I don't, so that I can kind of, I'll say if it's too much, or if it wasn't enough or whatever, but they are always just a reflection of what I've done, and hopefully, because I've kind of been a little bit more free flow, when I write them up. And if somebody follows them, then they're not getting a kind of, if you're looking through a guidebook and you're seeing, gosh, I want to do this, 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 and this, and it's a different. They've got a set thing that they can do and achieve in a way that doesn't leave people feeling, stressed or overwhelmed with stuff. But I think with Paris in particular, I did sort of teach myself that it's, for me, if I'm going somewhere like that, so if I was going to another big city like that, I'd probably do a similar thing to your mum did, do a way of dividing the day. So it might be, I'll just do one thing. Today's the gallery thing, and I'll do one gallery and then I'll just wander. And that's it. And then tomorrow I'll do, a coffee shop thing, because there's supposed to be an amazing coffee shop, and then I'll just wander in that neighborhood and doing it like that. And I felt like and I think I wrote that on my Paris itinerary thing that I developed. Had I have done that in Paris in particular, I think I would have felt better. So I like your mum's approach in a way to go, no, we're going to divide it up like this, because then at least there is some sense of it naturally unfolding, rather than it being like this weird framework that you try and live within whilst you're away.
Yeah. And then it feels like a holiday, because that's the point of our weekends. If you're only going away for a weekend, it needs to feel like a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, gosh, yeah. I mean, how many times I've been on a press trip weekend, and it's relentless, and you don't want for people to experience that sort of relentlessness. You want it to feel like, I feel like I've had a really nice time and I feel rested and fulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about feeling rested and fulfilled, one of the things, having sort of been following you on Instagram for quite some time and seeing on your blog, you have a knack for finding awesome places to stay. I would say, particularly in the UK, there are now a few places that I've seen that you've stayed at that I have shoved under the nose of my husband for perhaps book a weekend away. Was it somewhere in Cornwall? Was it Mousehole?
Yeah, Mousehole. Yes,
Mousehole. And that there's I will link to it in the show notes. There's a picture of you in the roll top bath with the view, and I'm like, that is weekend goals. Get me there immediately. How do you find all these great places?
I don't know. The one that you're talking about, it's the Fallen Angel, place called the Fallen Angel in Mousehole. I have had more response to that place and the story that I did on that on Instagram stories and the post I put up on Facebook than I've had throughout my entire blogging journey. I mean, it was an absolutely beautiful place. There's no doubt about it. So it wasn't too hard to make it look beautiful, because it was just beautiful. You just pointed your camera and, it looked beautiful. It was a wonderful place to stay. That sort of found me, that one in particular, because the lady that owned that one, she also owns another place which might be worth writing down, called Dreamcatcher, and that's in Cornwall. Ooh. And it's that's on the blog as well, and it's a beautiful converted Methodist chapel, and the way that, she's converted it, that it's just the spec and the detail and everything that's gone into it is beautiful, and the same she's done for the Fallen Angel. So she approached me for that one. But I think I think sometimes when you think about weekend breaks, you normally think geographically, and you think, right, I'll go to this city or this place. But actually, you could kind of think about it in a different way and go, I want to stay, a bit like Canopy and Stars does. I want to stay in, a romantic bolt hole for two, and search for the places and then see where they are that takes your fancy. I've got a lot of nice places that I have on my list now come when I look at things like Canopy and Stars or boutique retreats, those kinds of things. And rather than looking at where do I want to be, it's more what sort of place do I want to stay in. So that's kind of how I tend to find those. And then, other people will see what I've done and gone, oh, right, why don't, would you like to come and do the similar thing with me?
Yes.
So I've got lucky that way.
I think actually that's really interesting because it's not something that I have done recently because I like you said, I've been quite focused around geographical areas. But actually when Andrew and I first got together and we were sort of going, we didn't have anything to spend our money on apart from our dirt cheap studio flat, which was terrible. But we wanted to spend our weekends, early 20s, whatever luxury looks like when you're in your early 20s. And I used to spend time searching the internet for really awesome hotels. And I remember we went to the Lake District, and actually we ended up getting snowed in, so we saw nothing in the Lake District at all.
Oh God!
And we were in this hotel that I'd found that had a jacuzzi bath inside and a 4-poster bed and a hot tub outside, and that is the sole reason why we booked it. We weren't really that bothered about being in the Lake District at the time.
Yeah.
And we used to just go and find really random, as you say, the boutique hotel trend was sort of really kicking off back then.
Yeah.
Search for it. And I remember we used to do last minute. I think they still do their secret hotels. We booked on a few of those.
Yeah.
Just for the hotels.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a nice way to do it, actually. And it's nice to just go and stay somewhere beautiful rather than going, I'm in a hotel and everything outdoors is really beautiful and I'm in a beautiful hotel, but I'm going to have to leave the hotel to go and see everything outdoors and not experience the hotel. So the thing about the Fallen Angel place, I mean, Mousehole was lovely. The weather was pretty atrocious, but it meant that we spent a lot of time indoors in the actual place itself, which was lovely because you're in a place and you're enjoying it as if it's your own, and you can kind of, that you don't have to worry about the cat hairs or anything like that. It's just which I do a lot when I live with cats, like a crazy cat woman in the woods. But yeah, if you take yourself just away from your domestic situation, just go, I'm just going to put us up in this place. And we stayed in another place that we stayed was it was a bit like a shed at the bottom of somebody's garden that we got on Airbnb, which I didn't actually blog about. But it was the thing that was quirky. It was like a quirky kind of log cabin, but not as grand as a log cabin. But it was just so nice to be somewhere different. And we were in Dorset, and we knew where, we knew the area really well. So it wasn't like we needed to explore anywhere. But it was just nice to get away from your own kind of four walls, I think, without a pressure of going to see somewhere. It's just go and stay somewhere. And, even if there's nothing to see, even if there's 3 shops, just being away from your own kind of sofa and TV does make a difference, I think.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you were saying earlier about making the most of your weekends. And it doesn't have to be about shooting around everywhere. It could be just going somewhere different, a different environment. We're all really busy people. Mr. Sparrow works away quite a lot. So actually, if we do have a weekend away together, sometimes it's quite nice to actually, sit down in a place and have a conversation as opposed to running around and looking at places. So I love that. Would you say that your hotel style or your travel style, I mean, you've stayed in some beautiful places. Is it more, and so some of the people that I've spoken to are more kind of budget, so they'll just stay anywhere to get somewhere. Some are kind of luxury. I tend to flip between the two depending on whether I've been paid and when I've been paid. But is it more about the quirkiness of the location, or is it about having that opportunity to experience some luxury for you, or a mix?
I think it's a little bit of luxury. I like a little bit of luxury, but I can't normally afford a lot of luxury, so it's quite nice to have a little bit of luxury. The quirkiness, definitely. I'm not particularly good with budget places, really. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I didn't actually do like a gap year when I left. I know lots of people do, and that's how their love of travel started. Or that's where they carried on their love of travel. But I never did a gap year or did kind of hosteling around the world or anything like that. And that's fine. I think because of that, it's slightly, I don't know, maybe I feel slightly scared about budget because I don't want to go away, and my time is so precious. My holiday time and my weekend time is so precious that I just want to know that I'm going to be happy at the end of it. I'd rather, and I think also I'm a little bit of an OAP, so I really want a good night's sleep. And I really want to be, I really am. And I like being warm and cozy. And I don't want to go somewhere where like I might be cold and I might not sleep very well. So I think that's why I choose what I do.
I'm the same. I prefer, it might not be out and out luxury, but I don't do hostels. I never did the gap year. The idea of sharing a room with other people that I do not know, the idea of sharing a room with people I do know is bad enough, let alone people I don't know.
I know, yeah, it does freak me out slightly.
Yeah, I'm in awe of people that will just rock up and do that. But yeah,
but the funny thing is, I've just said all of that, and then I'm going to massively contradict myself because well, that's not fair. I don't go on the lookout for budget places because I like a little bit luxury and comfort. But then I'm not against doing something quirky which might not be particularly comfortable. Because I'm just thinking the man toy, as I call him, my partner, he likes doing like wild camping and sleeping, and lots of camping and that kind of thing. And I love that too, so we did some wild camping last year in Dorset, actually, on top of a hill, Colmers Hill, if anybody knows it. And it was just the nicest thing. And, we were in a field of sheep, and there was sheep poo and stinging nettles and, not a lot else.
Oh my God, I remember when you did this because I was following your Instagram story.
Yeah, it was fab. It was absolutely fab. So I guess I wouldn't go. No, it's not that. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't go looking for that. But then I like just experiencing different things. So that I was like, yeah, that sounds such good fun. It sounds adventurous, and it'll be great.
So for the uninitiated, what is wild camping? What does that mean?
Wild camping is basically where you take a tent or a sleeping bag or whatever, and you go somewhere that may not be officially designated as a camping area. Now, there are lots of kind of rules and regulations around it, and there are a lot of kind of etiquette, what you can and can't do. So we went to this particular hill in Dorset, and we walked up there, as it was turning to dusk, and you basically keep your interference with that area to a minimum, and then as soon as the sun comes up, you get out there and make sure that everything is as neat and tidy as you found it. So I can't remember I don't know if actually it's illegal or not in this country. I don't know whether it is or not. I'm sure other people will be able to tell me whether it is or not.
I'll find out, and I will put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and it's basically so you're camping somewhere which isn't designated as a campsite. It's not saying that you look for places that are deliberately not campsites, but you might see a beautiful area and go, like we stayed on a beach one night. It's just it doesn't have any facilities or anything like that. And you go there and you're very respectful of the environment, and you make sure that you're gone before anybody else comes along.
See, I've got an image of my mind. I'm really big into the Channel 4 series Hunted.
Okay.
Where they're basically being hunted by the security services, and they've got, a lot of them decide to wild camp.
Okay.
So they're just there with a tiny one-man camp, just in some random field, and then they go soon and walk on. And I don't think I'd get my husband to do that. My husband doesn't camp at all. I don't think he has, actually. I might have to get him on the glamping vibe first.
Oh yeah, maybe do that. Take him some, and then just gently remove things away each time you go away.
Sorry, there's no toilet.
yeah, exactly. Oh, there was last time. Where's my nice tucked down pillow and duvet? Oh,
I can imagine his face. He would be horrified. So what's been, if you could, I'll allow you to have a few if you can't pick, but what's been your most favourite place, or maybe your most favourite weekend away that you've done?
Oh gosh, okay. Let me think. Okay, one of my most favourite weekends away was when I went up the road. It's literally about 30 minutes away from where I live now, and it was a place called Log House Holidays. and it's a beautiful log cabin in the Cotswolds in a place called the Water Parks. And it was just absolutely incredible because the log cabin itself was beautiful. It sat on this lake, and there were, kayaks where you could just get, and a rowing boat. So you just stepped outside your door and you got in a rowing boat and you could go rowing across the lake. And the thing about that was so special, I think, is that it was literally 30 minutes away from my door, and yet it felt like I was in a totally different world. And I just I just remember I went there, drove the car there, parked the car, and didn't get in the car then for the remaining 4 days, and just everything was on your doorstep. So it was beautiful. There was the wildlife was amazing, and you could just be outdoorsy and on the lake, or sitting in the hot tub under the stars having a glass of fizz. So
I think some of the other is it Ellie who has already been on the podcast, and Sam coming on the podcast? They went before Christmas, I think. Was it to the same place?
Yeah, it did, because I nipped over to say hi to them. Yes, yeah.
It looked incredible. It looks absolutely beautiful.
And it is an amazing place to stay. And I think, as I say, the thing that made it so special for me is that it was only up the road. So after it finished, after, it's time to check out, I wasn't like, oh gosh, I've got a whole long journey back or whatever. It was like, 30 minutes and I'll be home to put the kettle on and put my feet up. So that was really special. In terms of weekends away, the other places that oh God, I've been to so many. It's really hard sometimes to pick. What was it? Was it favourite place or favourite weekend, or a combination of the both?
Either, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think my favourite place in terms of country, it has to be Italy. I really love Italy.
Yeah.
And I particularly, I'm again a history nerd, and I like food. So that's great because there's lots of historical stuff that I can geek out on, and then I can eat out on lots of nice pasta. So I really like, in particular, I really like Florence. Really love Florence.
Oh, I love Florence.
It's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. It just kind of gives me goosebumps for some reason any time I think about it. But I think, and the other place that was mind-blowing, which you'd expect it to be really, but I'm so pleased I got the opportunity to go, was when I went to the Maldives. Which was just like insane, like being inside some sort of Disney movie. It was just insanely beautiful. Italy, Maldives, and then Log House Holidays.
Oh, I love that. It's so different. I mean, I adore Italy. I actually only went to Italy for the first time in, what was it, 2016?
Wow.
And the first place I went to was Florence, because I had read when I was 17, A Room with a View in A-level English, that obviously it's like Florence is the place to go. And my mum and I had said that we won't go to Florence until we can go together. And then it took us 17 years to get our act together and go. And we had such a beautiful weekend, and that kicked off a massive obsession for me about Italy for all the reasons you described. Food, history, gorgeous buildings, wonderful Italian men that will bring you wine whenever you ask.
Yeah, and I love the language as well. I think the language is just beautiful to listen to. I'd love to learn Italian.
Yeah, I feel really sad. I learnt German at school, and no disrespect to those that speak the German language, but it hasn't really been massively helpful to me on my travels, apart from when I've travelled to Germany.
Yeah.
Not massively widely spoken elsewhere. So I wish I'd learn Italian or Spanish actually at school. That would have been a bit useful.
Yeah, I could just grasp the English language, so I've given up on every other.
Well, maybe Swahili will come back though. You never know.
Yeah, apart from when gin's involved, then I seem to be fluent in multi-languages.
So I would, obviously you live in Cheltenham in the Cotswolds. There's lots to do in the Cotswolds and lots to see. It's really, really cute. And I've been asking everyone to give me some recommendations if they were to come and visit your area. Now, obviously Log House Holidays is one of them, and it's definitely on my bucket list to go and experience. But if someone was going to come to your neck of the woods, what would you tell them to do?
Well, I guess the obvious one is to go, because there's lots of little sort of chocolate boxy style Cotswold villages that are very, very pretty. There's a particular place called Bybury, which is really lovely, and it's got a row of cottages called Arlington Row, a very famous row of cottages. It's a really tiny little village, and a river runs through the middle of it. And it's got a little trout farm. It's so sort of, it's like a painting. It's so pretty. So I'd definitely say go to Bybury and have a walk around Arlington Row and by the river and all that kind of thing. And then I'd probably say another really lovely place to go is Cheltenham itself. I think the thing about the Cotswolds is you can do kind of two types of breaks here. So you could do the little villages that feel really kind of cutesy, and then you can go to somewhere like Cheltenham, and it's quite sophisticated, and it's got a lot of nice restaurants, and it's got good shopping, and it's got the lovely Georgian buildings, so it's very pretty that way. So I think that would probably be my two recommendations. And yeah. I'm pretty bad on my own area, really, aren't I?
No, not at all. Do you know what? I hadn't heard of Bybury, actually.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm going to go and look that up because I've had a few different places. The only my boss lives in Stroud.
Oh, yeah, I live just. Yeah, no, that Stroud's literally 10 minutes away from where I am.
Oh God, I'm not going to tell him that because he thinks everyone decent comes from Stroud. Stroud is the centre of the universe, but Stroud is very pretty. And I've also I went to a wedding in somewhere in Gloucestershire, and there's an arboretum.
Oh yeah, Tetbury.
Tetbury, that's the one. And but I never got a chance to go to the arboretum, so that's been on my list as well.
That's really lovely. Yeah, it is really lovely, especially obviously spring or in autumn. It's really nice to go to.
I wanted to. Yeah, I'm saving it for an autumn trip so I can see the leaves turn.
Yeah. No, I think they've got a treetop walk thing there now as well, which I haven't actually been on, but I hear that's supposed to be really, really nice.
Oh, I'm going to give that one a go.
And also, weirdly, we've also got, just to throw it in randomly, but I'm still very impressed by, we've actually got a place called Crocodiles of the World.
Have you?
Yeah, I kid you not. As you go, actually it might be going towards Oxfordshire, but as you go from Burford towards London, I remember seeing one of those like famous brown signs that points to something that's going to be marvellous, and it said Crocodiles of the World. And I was like, what is this? And Googled it. It is a thing. You can go and see all these different alligators and things and crocodiles and stuff in the Cotswolds. So there you go.
That's madness.
It is mad.
I would never see. This is why you don't have to go very far to get all the things you want. The UK has an enormous amount to offer if you've only got a weekend.
Certainly does.
Even crocodiles. I love that. So, where's next on your list? Where are you off to next?
Where am I off to next? Well, I might be going to the Forest of Dean, woohoo! Which is not very far from where I am, but that'll be quite nice. I haven't actually explored the Forest of Dean. It's off towards Wales. So I'm going to do something there. I think I might have another narrowboat experience coming up. I did a narrowboat last year, which I wrote about on the blog, which was really great fun, really, really great fun. And I think I might have another one of those. But
now, can I ask you, just while we're talking about narrowboats? So I did a boating holiday on the Norfolk Broads.
Oh yeah,
fairly recent. Well, I say fairly recently. Time travels far too quickly. It was actually a couple of years ago now. And we decided to do the Norfolk Broads, a group of us, because we thought, let's ease ourselves in gently to life on the water, and not do a narrowboat and do something that's slightly bigger. We don't have to navigate any locks.
Yeah.
Although it take us a fair few goes to park the boat up the first time, which was interesting. So we did that, and I've been absolutely gagging to go on a narrowboat again. Where did you go? Where did you go for your narrowboat holiday?
So I went with a company called Bear Boating, as in BEAR Boating, and it was up in Yorkshire. It was is it Skipton? It's up round there. And it was absolutely brilliant. I took 3 friends, and we had this whole narrowboat, and it was a beautiful narrowboat, so sort of proper luxury one. And we did the Leeds Liverpool section of the Leeds Liverpool canal up there. It wasn't, we were there for about 3 days, so we didn't go very far because you don't go very fast in a narrowboat. No. You're being overtaken by people walking. It's quite funny. But it was fab. I thought it would be. I don't know. I thought, narrowboating. It's going to be a bit sort of meh, but it wasn't. It's quite high adrenaline, actually.
Yeah,
because
of all the lots. Through those locks.
It's serious business. And the thing about Bear Boating that's great is they gave us proper training, and a lot of places don't give you proper training, but you need proper training because actually it can be very, very dangerous. So so that's
so where are you going now?
A company got in touch with me recently, and they're boutique narrowboats, and it's Leicester is the next one that I might be going on. So I haven't really looked into it in great detail at the moment, but I like the idea of it again because it is a different sort of pace of a weekend. It's a totally different than going to stay somewhere beautiful or going to a city. It's just it gives a different dimension to the weekend. Just just stepping onto a boat makes you feel different, and so I quite like the idea of pootling along again on a canal boat, and that is possibly around May time. But I really want to try and get exploring Scotland a little bit this year because I haven't done a lot of Scotland, and I'd really like to go and see what Scotland has to offer, which is obviously quite a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't. Do you know what? I went to Edinburgh for 1 day for work and saw none of it. And I've been in Glasgow a couple of times, but again, mainly for work. Yeah. So I haven't had the opportunity to really explore Scotland. Yeah. I've been trying to get the husband to think about maybe doing, is it the NC 500, the kind of road trip? Because I think we'd have a really good time doing something like that. Yeah. So I'm with you on wanting to explore Scotland and a little bit more.
Yeah, somebody gave me that recommendation on Instagram actually when I said something about looking for my next staycation. They told me about that road trip, and I thought, gosh, that sounds amazing. I really want to go to the Isle of Skye. I'm desperate to go to the Isle of Skye because I'm again geek. Wildlife thing would be really up my street. So I'd like to do that kind of thing. And Highlands and all that, and so that's kind of what I got planned. Nothing in Europe weirdly this year, but I just wait to see what happens, what flows, just don't know. I quite like having it unplanned because you never know what
might happen. Yeah, exactly. So I've got 2 more questions, and one is to ask you for another tip, and one is a more kind of thoughtful question.
Okay.
I'm going slightly off piste only because I know that you share a passion of mine, and quite a few of the listeners I think also share that passion. And
Gin.
We've already talked about it. Oh yeah, we've already talked about it. And actually so I went to the Gin Festival a couple of weeks ago, and the only reason I knew about the Gin Festival, I mean, I'm sure it would have come into my life being an avid gin person before, but I saw you go to the Gin Festival last year, and I was immediately text my mum and went, Mum, there's a festival of gin. We have to find a way of going. So we actually went a few weeks ago to the one in London. So I know that you share the gin passion, and I would like to know from you, if the listeners are bored, just bear with me. This is purely for my own benefit. What gin at the moment would you recommend?
Oh my god! Right, okay. So now you've got me started.
I've put you on the spot.
Now you're never going to be able to shut me up. Okay, so right, what a gin that I recommend at the moment. So yeah, I totally and utterly love gin, very, very much, and I've got about 30 bottles actually in the house at the moment.
My God, I thought I was doing well with my 15. You have just stormed it.
Oh yeah,
I need
yeah.
to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the other thing that I've got, and that's looking at me from my bread oven, weirdly, right now, is a magnum of Cotswold gin. So
Oh,
yeah, I got
what?
a magnum of Cotswold gin for my birthday by the man toy, so I was very pleased about that. So yeah, if you get yourself to the Cotswolds, then I will open that and we will have Cotswold gin together.
Yes. There we
The
go.
one that there's two that I'm particularly into at the moment. There's a rhubarb and ginger one by Whitley Neal.
Yes.
Now, I really like that. Some people don't like it because they say it's got a synthetic taste, but I really like it because it tastes like Love Hearts.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
I tried it for the first time. Whitley and Neil were at the gin festival.
Okay.
So I tried all of their gins and I tried it. I didn't end up having a full gin and tonic, but the guy from Whitley and Neil said it goes really well with hibiscus tonic, which is quite a little bit highbrow for me.
Yeah.
But I did love it.
No, I just had it with ginger beer and it's incredible.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So nice. So there's that one. The other one that I really like is a Welsh gin, which is Seaweed Gin. And I will, if I go out into my kitchen, I'll be able to tell you exactly who the maker is. It's somebody beginning with D. But yeah, there's a Seaweed Gin, which I bought in Wales. So what I do now, I'm going to pronounce it terribly, Damile, which is Damhile with little accents. So I'm really sorry if there's anybody Welsh listening and I totally not said that right. That one's really lovely as well. So what I tend to do is I used to go away and collect magnets, which I still do. But now I also come back with a magnet and a bottle of gin. So from wherever I go, I normally try and find the local gin and bring that back with me. So those are my two favourites at the moment.
Oh, I love that. I've just got onto Tinker Gin.
Oh, okay.
Which is from Yorkshire. They were really pushing it at the gin festival, and I loved it. So bought myself a bottle. And then there's also a gin from Manchester. They do a few, but it's the Violet Gin it's a Violet Gin by Zymagorium or something.
Oh my God, that's the one that I really want to get. It tastes like Parma violets.
It does. Right, so I've got a bottle of that as well. My God. It's the dream.
Oh my God, that was when I went.
Like the Whitley and Neil, you'll love this.
When I went to the gin festival, I tried that violet one, and I love it because it is violet in the glass, so it looks lovely. And then when I tasted it, I was like, oh my God, this is Parma violets, which I absolutely love. Reminds me of being a child again. So that is on my bucket list of my gin list of bottles that I have to get, but I haven't yet got around to getting it. So I'm very jealous you've got one of those.
Big recommendation for me. I've wanted to try it for so long. And it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to start. So I collect fridge magnets wherever I've gone. I need to start collecting gin. I think that's a much better use of my money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so lovely to look back and to drink it all.
Well, quite. Exactly. Okay, well, before we wrap up, the last thing I'd love to ask you, which is I ask everyone on the podcast this. What does travel mean to you?
Oh, what does travel mean to me? It's freedom, I think. And yeah, I think that's what it means for me, and that's why I'm always happiest when I'm on my way somewhere. And I think it's because I think one of my biggest values is freedom, and it really represents that to me. I remember because I hadn't travelled extensively when I was little, apart from living in Kenya, and then when I went to university, I didn't do a gap year, blah blah blah, and then I went to Romania on a trek. Just after my daughter was born, I went on my own and did this trek, and I never felt so sort of free. It was a really weird kind of feeling. I kind of rocked up at the airport, got on the transfer and was just like, my God, I just feel totally free. And it was that really that made me go, I want to do more of it. So there's that. And I think it was also kind of, without sounding a bit wanky, it's very like an expression of self in a way. I think it's sort of, I feel like this sounds really wanky, I'm sorry, but I feel like I grow a little bit more each time I go somewhere.
No, I agree with you. It doesn't sound wanky at all.
Yeah, oh, good. So yeah, I think obviously freedom, and that is quite obvious. I'm sure that everybody has that sort of sense of it, but for me, it really represents that, and that's really important. I need to be moving. I need to be kind of ready to move to the next place in a way. So at the moment, obviously I'm not moving because I've got a daughter at school and stuff, but so the traveling part makes me feel like I'm not penned in, that I'm not, it's almost like I don't want to have roots really. And yeah, I like the fact that I grow each time I go away. If I go away on my own, or if a new challenge comes up and I overcome it on my own, or whatever, then I come back sort of feeling like, oh, that was good. That was a good experience. So I think those two things really.
I think that's amazing. I agree. I think you learn quite a lot about yourself, I think, when you travel.
Yeah, you do.
Surprising things sometimes as well, depending on like how your traveling's gone or where you've gone. So I think it's really important. And even for those that perhaps don't travel as regularly as we do, because we write about it, I still think, you can get a lot of personal growth by going somewhere new.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so.
This has been amazing, and thank you so much. Not least because we got to chat about gin, which, is always great, but also it's been so interesting to kind of hear about your how you approach your weekends. I think there's going to be a lot of people listening that have their weekends and are looking for ways to find their freedom in their kind of Saturday and Sunday. So there's lots of inspiration here. For all the listeners that want to go and geek out on your blog and, which battlefields that you've been visiting or what gins.
I haven't written about any battlefields. Can I just stipulate that? Not yet.
Not yet. Soon to come. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so you'll find me at weekendcandy.com, and then that's my blog. I hang out quite a lot on Instagram at the moment. I'm kind of in love with that a lot. So I'm Weekend Candy there. And I'm also on Faceplant as well. As I kind of hang out a little bit there. But Twitter I'm on as Weekend Candy as well. I'm a Weekend Candy across all three of those platforms. Oh, and I'm also on Pinterest. I've got a weekend... best weekends in the UK and Europe Pinterest board. So if you're looking for some inspiration, then there's loads of kind of great ideas up there. Lots of people pin their weekend travel stuff up there. So it's Weekend Candy basically across everything.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Claire. And I'm going to be keeping an eye out for the next gin that you get from your next location.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of The TRAVELUST, and I hope we've managed to inspire you to think about your next trip. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you gave it a little review and rating on iTunes or your podcast player of choice, so even more people can find their inner travel lust. Until next time, have a safe journey.